Habra Heights City Council, ladies and gentlemen, and to my audience via Channel 3. I stand before you in this very public forum to comment on something that I find a bit alarming, specifically the request to discuss the editing out of the public comment section from the Time Warner's Channel 3. Now, cutting out the public comment section from Time Warner's Channel 3 is like asking someone to cut out the eyes and ears and the tongues of the citizenry, of La Habra Heights, especially those not in attendance, to keep them from seeing, from hearing, and or speaking on in this public forum. So as many of you already know, I'm sure, freedom of speech is a fundamental right. It's a First Amendment right that is applicable to us via the 14th Amendment, and it prohibits government from certain regulation of speech and other forms of expression. And our local government should ensure that its citizenry is protected, at least that fundamental right, that precious right is upheld. Now, I concede, nevertheless, I concede that, yeah, certain times the government, if it has a legitimate interest, it may regulate the time, place, and manner of speech as long as the standards are specifically defined and unrelated to the content of the expression. Now, in a public forum such as this, the tests of that regulation, it must meet four things. One, it has to be content neutral. Two, it has to serve an important or further an important government interest, health, safety, morale. Three, it must be narrowly tailored. It can't be overbroad. And four, it has to leave open alternate means of expression. Now, make no mistake, folks, this is a public forum. And every time these meetings are broadcast on Channel 3, it is an extension of this public forum to those citizens not in attendance. So let's discuss, is this a content neutral restriction, editing it out? No, it's not. Why else would two city officials, why else would they want to discuss the editing out of this broadcast? Well, in the day and age when the public demands local government transparency, it seems that this is against that. And I can't find any other reason but only to interpret this as an attempt to suppress, if not chill, freedom of speech. And it has everything to do with its content. So don't listen to me about that. Let's make reference to where I'm getting this from. And I refer to this agenda report subject cease replay of public comment on Time Warner Cable. So is this content neutral? No, it's not. Why? Well, let's read here. Quote, and I'm paraphrasing, law enforcement has cautioned the city not to air information or other statements that would make La Habra Heights more enticing to criminals. A few residents continue to talk about their perception that the city has a lack of patrol and request that public comments no longer be televised. It's based on content. Another, the City Council and Planning Commission have asked speakers to refrain from accusatory comments about staff based on content. Another, the city has also received complaints that public comments are debasing property values by portraying La Habra Heights as an undesirable community, content-based. So I'm seeing here that it doesn't meet that first element, and it's not content neutral. I don't have to go on, but I will. So let's discuss, does this further an important government interest? Well, let's look at the arguments. I just read them to you. The first one is a safety argument. We have the police here, they're keeping us safe, and I'm going to read off this report. It says, the cautioning of law enforcement that certain public comments would make it more enticing for criminals to commit crime in La Habra Heights. Yet there are no reports. There's no data. There are no studies to support that contention. Are there? It's speculation. It is. It is. And I think it's just merely perception-driven, paranoia of a few, and not rooted in facts, but rather emotion. Okay? So, unless it's supported by clear evidence or something to substantiate that contention, it can't be justified as furthering an important government interest. I have 30 seconds. I'm just going to say there isn't defamatory comments. You have the right to pursue an individual that defames you if they maliciously do so. So cutting it out doesn't do it. You should seek legal action. Economic argument, debasing property values, again, It's not supported. It's just emotional. It's just an emotional argument. Therefore, for you to try to cease this would go against our fundamental rights. And I, on behalf of myself and my household, ask that you support the entire area of the public comment section. Thank you.